It's Open House Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Tokbe Mark Adige, and as usual, I have with me the ladies. Welcome to the show, Mariam. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. So I'm reading the book Stepping on Toes by Hadiza Bala Usman. We remember her, of course, as the former...
How did you quickly get that? Maybe last week then, not
the former MPA boss. You know, for me, I'm a huge admirer of her. Of course, having been to ABU, like I did, and, you know, just being from the north, I'm young and just achieving so much. So I really would like, I'm reading the book to hear her own side of the story concerning, you know, how she left MPA. So I'm really, it's an interesting read so far. I'm loving it. And I love the way she put the language together. So it's so interesting. You know, most of these memoirs and biographies, you'll be so bored by the time you flip. But this one, you'll be flipping pages because it's very...
She's an engaging person naturally, so
yes.
I think that she'll just narrate the story in such a way as well.
I think it's just and then it's a good book for us women who are building our careers and in public space. Just see the dynamics of, you know, this world and how to navigate it.
All right, Nima, how you doing?
Fine, I'm fine.
There was traffic on your end today.
There was. I almost turned back. It was closer home than coming to work, but we checked the map and it was still safe to get here by 8. So we tried the journey. I'm grateful. I forgot my banter.
Well, you remember.
Seriously?
Well, it's been a...
Well, I haven't seen you in a while, have I?
No, you have.
Yeah, I've missed you.
So, Raya is strong.
Yes.
Yeah, and so when she gets better, she'll show up. I just think that usually it's a day or two and she's back, but this one she's not here, so our heart and prayers are with her. But it is Open House Thursdays, gist all the way.
Meanwhile, I love your red. It looks really nice.
I wanted to bring in a bit of the color today, brighten the atmosphere from moving to
I love it.
But kids are planning a school trip, and I feel so bad because usually my children's school, they take them to Ghana like for years. Then COVID happened, they didn't travel. 2021, there was the drama with other schools. And so a lot of schools are now being shy about engaging children out of station. A lot of things have stopped. I feel like we're letting the current affairs stop children from being children. So the children cannot play on the playground after school anymore because they feel like it might be dangerous. Children might hurt themselves because there isn't proper supervision. You're cutting that, like they're just cutting every thing that kids should do because the school doesn't want to be caught in the middle of something going wrong and they'll say the school did not have right supervision on ground. My kids are really complaining. They wished they had gone to Ghana. They were looking forward to traveling to Ghana, and now they are going to have to do their school trip. It's not a trip. It's in Lagos, it's in Nigeria. So finding that balance for me is tough, but I guess that's what they want. They want they want to be safer than sorry, you know.
So last year to affected my son. They did it here in Lagos. Of course, they didn't travel. And if they did, he won't have gone.
Really?
Yes, in my own, yes, I'm definitely in that category. At that time, at that age, I wouldn't have allowed him go out of state.
Wow.
So
again, the school is in that case.
Lagos, and I was one of the voting parents to stop the interstates.
Yeah.
Those trips are with family,
yes,
not with
for that age
school setting for any primary school child.
So good to have different opinions. We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we'll go to the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We'll be starting off the front page review with The Nation. Major headline: I won't marginalize any part of Nigeria, says Tinubu. And in other news, Minister blames NIS for passport issuance crisis. Labour disrupts over rebound flights in Lagos, Abuja, others. Senate okays restructuring of 22.7 trillion unbudgeted loan. Sudan, 2 aircrafts flying back 376 Nigerians. 70% of savings in Nigerian banks now in US dollars, says IMF. Inflation exchange rate fuel action. Zoning of National Assembly top post. APC targets consensus. In other news, Labour Party threatens lawmakers elect with sanction over party crisis. Senate joins in leniency plea for Ekweremadu, second term. Lagos raises panel of 22. And what story are we going to start with? There's a picture of our president-elect. He was cutting the ribbon.
Yes, sir.
And with him was the Governor Wike, as well as Governor of Oyo State, as well as Gbajabiamila, Amila, as well as Governor Battering.
So let me just tell the story. So yesterday it was hosted by the Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, and the people of Rivers State, because the moment his plane approached the airport in Port Harcourt, you should have seen the crowd. We thought Rivers State was, an opposition state, but then they loved the president-elect and they hosted him well. He came to cut the ribbon and commission all the 12 flyovers built by the Rivers State governor. He inaugurated the Rumukota-Rumola flyover bridge, and he was very kind in speech to the governor. He talked about how his posterity will be kind to him, history will be kind to him for his, his landmark projects that he did across the state. And he said that he used the opportunity to address Nigeria and how he will approach Nigeria. He said, I will not marginalize any region, and but I will leave legacy projects across the length and breadth of Nigeria, and that assuring that all areas will be developed under his administration. And there was a small jab because he said the governor played a joke and said, will you be getting anything back for some of
refund?
He said, I don't owe you, but if you need anything, lobby.
River State is a gift that keeps giving. If you are unlocking and unlocking, countdown is project. Mariam, what story do you have?
Yes, so I have 40% of savings in Nigerian banks now in US dollars, says IMF. So the IMF, in a recent report, it has blamed this trend of saving in hard currency on the rising inflation and exchange rate volatility. And it says that this practice is a confirmation of loss of confidence in the local currency, and it is usually difficult, to reverse that. Even if what had triggered this lack of trust in the currency is reversed, is worked on, it will still be hard for people to trust and go back, to the way it's supposed to be. And they're explaining that the use of dollars for storing value, of course, we know it wasn't as a result of the Naira redesign and the cashless policy. And so we hope that finally, now that we're handling it, this is something that would reverse. But it just shows that Nigerians do not have any confidence in our local currency, in our Naira, and it does not bode well for our economy. And IMF is also saying that even if we sort our issues out, it will still take a long time to reverse. And I know of many Nigerians who have decided, any small Naira I have, I'll change it into dollars because I don't want our wahala. Today is one, a particular exchange rate, tomorrow is falling, the next day it's gone so high. So we will see how, we sort it out with the CBN governor looking at it and seeing what he will do.
So following up with the story I took yesterday about the Senate setting up a committee to look into the passport issuance delay and the hardship it's causing Nigerians, the minister Electoral has replied and said that it is the Nigerian Immigration Service that they are the ones to be blamed for any issue with passport delays. Said that just about last year, when they issued a reform the process reforms of how you get a passport, it suddenly became delayed. That they never had an issue of scarcity of booklets. That it is people within within immigration, the Nigerian Immigration Service, are the ones spreading that rumor that there is lack of enough booklets, that there are enough booklets. He understands that the issue might be ability to the shortage, in having enough people to respond, having enough manpower to respond at per time, but that there is no shortage of booklets. That's one. Number two, it is the touts that is begging Nigerians to patronize touts and unscrupulous NIS officials that are extorting money from applicants. While this sounds good, I would love not to patronize touts. I would love not to patronize NIS officials, but if they would help me get my passport out within a month as opposed to 6 months, you cannot blame Nigerians who are trying to meet trying to get to an end from getting a solution to their specific problem. The point is, clean out. We Nigerians would want the minister to help within the short term before he leaves, flush out the challenges within the system, and penalize. We're seeing the police penalizing officials that are doing something wrong. We're seeing NDLEA naming and shaming as well. So let's see the Nigerian Immigration Service also call out people that they see to be corrupt, because it cannot be. It can't be that everybody that is working within that system is clean, or you cannot identify one person at least to make a scapegoat who is doing something wrong. Moving on to the next paper, we'll be doing the Punch. Major headline: 26 days to go. Outrage as Senate approves Buhari's 22.7 trillion extra budgetary spending. Fresh borrowing from CBN illegal. Suspicious, says NECA and LCCI economist. In other news, you would see Agenda 2050. Federal government projects $33,000 per capita GDP. APC National Working Committee fails to zone National Assembly leadership seats. Police arrest or shoot twins for cultism. Senate proposes life jail for unlawful explosive makers. Strike. Resident doctor says federal government's threats annoying. The federal government disconnects discos from national grid over debts. Wow. Sudan, 376 stranded Nigerians are lifted from Egypt. So what story are we starting with?
Hey, let's start with discos, because it's been a week of darkness in my estate.
Wow.
And the jet broke yesterday.
Oh.
Against norms, I had to go scouting for water. You know, so before my husband came in the night with an alternative generator to get water, it's been bad. And I have been back and forth. But the story in the paper, let's just drop it, is that the transmission company has decided to disconnect defaulting discos for outstanding debts. So some of them are owing. And they said between the Transmission Company of Nigeria and the market operator who decided to disconnect them, they've given notices over and over to some of these discos. The Punch named some of them, and I looked in the story carefully. I did not see my disco, but I don't know why. My disco and transmission company are having these issues. And they said, based on a 60 days extension period that has been given to them, they, hope that the defaulters will be able to come back and comply with provisions of the rules, which involves paying, of course, outstanding invoices, posting of adequate bank guarantees, forwarding of the active power purchase agreement, as the case may be, across them to the market operator and the TCN. I hope that this is resolved quickly, because the experience is nasty. The entire community, people were scouting for water. Those of us who have always enjoyed the convenience of using our generators, I didn't expect, because I have a 3 pumping machine system. If I do not clean my water through a filter, I cannot use it. It comes out brown. So it has to go through that system. One submersible, 2 of them bringing the water into. It was a complete system. And imagine, over days using it, crushed my generator.
Wow.
It's not a good experience.
Of course,
there are many others that are even having it even tougher.
So I hear there's some people in Lagos that don't have water.
As 5 this morning. My neighbor,
she's doing water by herself.
I'm saying that they don't even have, they cannot even dig like the borehole and whatever in their area.
In some places.
Wow. They have to buy water.
Yeah, let's take a break. When we return, we'll continue with front page review. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Sleepwalking through the app.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosities, right here within this beautiful cocktail we call...
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing the front pages of the newspaper and we are on the Punch. So Mariam, you want to talk about that?
Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors are threatening to go on strike if their demands are not met. Doctors are demanding an immediate increase in the consolidated medical salary structure to the tune of 200% of the current gross salaries of doctors. They also want the immediate withdrawal of the bill seeking to compel medical and dental graduates to render 5-year compulsory services in Nigeria before being granted full license to practice. Remember that controversial one. They also want the immediate implementation of CONMES, domestication of the Medical Residency Training Act, and review of hazard allowance by all the state governments, as well as private tertiary health institutions where any form of residency training is done, among many other demands. But they're also saying that, you know, since they put out their demand and they're actually supposed to be in a meeting with the federal government, all they keep hearing are all sorts of threats on national television, and each time, you know, government issues those threats on TV, it angers the members of that's NAD, and because for them it means that, you know, they're not really interested in negotiating or resolving the issues, but instead they're going on TV to issue threats, and they're saying that these threats will just lead to another nationwide strike. My own is, please, the strikes are enough. Let us learn to, dialogue and really resolve the issues. We just celebrated, what was the day we just celebrated recently? Labor Day. And, you know, everybody just had fantastic things to say about each other. Let's keep it real and sit at the table and negotiate and deal with these things instead of going on strike or threatening everybody.
I'm just grateful that, you know, the administration of the Labour Minister is going very soon, because his approach has always worsened the labour issues. I hope that the new Labour Minister will be more empathetic towards workers.
Okay. Let us take the story. So I'm taking the story about the outrage. Senate has approved loans to the Nigerian government, just barely 26 days to go. And NECA and LCCI are speaking firmly against it, that the administration shouldn't be getting a loan of 22.7 trillion naira when they just have 26 days to go. The focus of the current administration should just be on winding down their activities and transitioning to the new administration as opposed to getting loans. However, it's like this loan request had been ongoing far before now, and the Senate had been trying to get more details about it. And from the perspective of Senate Leader Ibrahim Gobert, this is like a reduction from the amount they had asked for earlier. I still feel like Nigerians should have clarity on what this money is going to be spent on, and if it is a money that we have already spent. You know, that sometimes we are getting loan for money that has already gone out of that we've already technically spent, but we just haven't had access to the money. Moving on to Daily Sun. I won't marginalize any part of Nigeria, says Tinubu. Hails Wike for championing justice, but declines commitment on refund of money spent building federal roads, bridges in rivers. In other news, court adjourns Kanu's application for medical leave. Work for national unity, Northern elders tell Iwanyawu. Obi's mantra, mandatory for elected LP office holders, says party. National Assembly, we are not in a hurry to zone offices, Adamu, APC chair. Police list 25 distressed barracks for demolition in Lagos. Opposition reps elect insist on contesting speakership position. Airpeace accuses NLC of targeting its operation. Senate approves federal government 22.7 trillion naira CBN loan request as Buhari launches Nigeria Agenda 2050. There seems to be a lot of activities at the tail end of this administration. Surprising. But what story are we starting with?
Let's take the police.
Okay.
You can go
Okay,
first.
let me go. Okay. So Airpeace has accused NLC and TUC, that's a trade union congress, of deliberately disrupting over its face-off with the Imo State government. So the unions disrupted all flights to Owerri across airports in the country on Wednesday morning, and so many passengers were stranded. Airpeace had written and said NLC and TUC officials stormed the Lagos airport and took over our counters, disrupting our operations because of an alleged misunderstanding that they have with the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodinma. While doing this, another airline was allowed to operate into and out of Owerri. So they feel that they were it was a selective attack on them. That first of all, this has nothing to do with them. If they have an issue, they should have gone straight to Imo State to handle, their issues and not target Airpeace. And they're saying that this is not the first time that NLC targets them. That there was another time when they were protesting the 18,000 naira minimum wage, and Airpeace was selectively or specifically targeted during, the protest. And they're saying that this particular one that happened Wednesday morning, Airpeace has lost about, I need to read this amount of money. They said they have lost about 400 million naira because of that, the protest that happened on Wednesday. It says, now who is going to give them this 400 million naira that they lost because they did not do their business on that day? And I am hoping that we'll hear from the NLC and TUC why just Airpeace was targeted, if it was supposed to be something that should have affected everyone. Because
they need to there's a trust relationship here. They're representing us, and so we must be sure that they're actually representing us appropriately. So Nima, you're going to tell the police barrack story.
So the IGP was represented by the police public relations officer, CSP Olumiwa, in Lagos yesterday, and he highlighted that 25 distressed barracks. This one suits me well. That they've been marked in Lagos for demolition, and that they will partner with the Lagos State governor to rebuild these barracks in a short period. Towards the end, they said maybe in 2 years, and then they will hand over to the former occupants the barracks after rebuilding. Most of those barracks in Lagos are just a time bomb waiting to happen. I'm grateful for this one.
So the speakership, we have not even sworn in the new administration. The speakership is generating a lot of
this is the
time. Yeah. So apparently, people that are elected officials that are in the opposition are now coming together as a quorum, that they are up to 180 members, being 50% of the the Assembly. They have decided to come together, create an 11-man committee to pick someone to vie for the position of Speaker of the National Assembly. Now, for those that don't understand, usually it is the party at the presidency that should automatically just have the same representation. No, not representation. They tend to just be the one, in most cases, to rule in the Senate and as well as in the House of Reps. But now, because they tend to be majority, but because it is a 50%, now the 50% opposition are coming together to say that they would be vying for that position of Speaker of the National. There's going to be good
lobbying there.
They are doing a lot of lobbying, right?
We're likely to see a Saraki.
Exactly. We saw it with Saraki, so maybe that's what.
But was Saraki not meant to be?
No, he was in the opposition.
He was in the opposition.
No, he wasn't. He was in the.
He was in the party. Okay, there's never been a case of opposition really when.
No, but he lobbied the.
Yes, he lobbied against the line of when they've already decided that they are going to be zoning. He lobbied against the zoned process and got in, but he was in the party. But now we are having someone that is not in the ruling party saying they want to contest, and we should see how interesting that will. I love politics. I try not to love politics. I don't. I love the intricacies. Nigerian Tribune is the next paper. Tinubu to Wike, I owe you nothing. Wow, what a way of couching that headline. Police hands over 215 electoral offenders to INEC for prosecution. Buhari launches Agenda 2050, says Nigeria to become a top income economy. A Papa-led Labour Party faction holds neck in Buhari in Bauchi, says we will pursue Obi's petition to logical conclusion. 10th Assembly, 180 minority members elect, form coalition to produce Speaker. I just took that story. Africans living in UK battle for survival. That's a report. Burdened by cost of living, shrinking labour force and homelessness. The APC National Working Committee ends a 4-hour meeting without decision on National Assembly leadership zoning. We are waiting for President-elect's input, says Adamu. Senate can't stop demolition work in Lagos airports. That's from federal government. Police to demolish, rebuild 25 distressed barracks in Lagos. And, of course, Senate has approved the loan. So what story are we going with first? Demolition?
Let me take INEC.
Okay.
Has explained that 774 persons were arrested during this 2023 general election for various electoral offences, and they are working with the police to make sure that that prosecution is done, investigation is done, justice is given, and they are also going to be collaborating with MBA for pro bono legal services, for the electoral offenders during this time. And I think it's good that we're seeing it, because many Nigerians always ask the question, oh, they'll go quiet. But sometimes I think it's because we don't read the papers, we don't listen to the news. So we see that there is a process, and right now all those who were found to have committed one offense or the other would be facing the court.
Okay, so the demolition, the Minister for Aviation, Adisirika, was saying that the Senate, even though the Senate has intervened between them and FAN over the demolition of offices belonging to certain agencies within the airport, he says that Senate committee headed by Senator Obiodun Olujimi cannot stop the demolition work. So the FEC has agreed and approved that they should go ahead with the demolition, and that's what he would do. But they're asking that he allows the Senate intervene and give time to it.
So there's a report released by the Black House Media, an African PR consultancy in the UK, and they did a survey of 1,200 African immigrants in the UK and said that they're comparing between last year and this year, they feel worse off. Major concern being job security, clearing their debts, housing, security in retirement, and even paying their monthly bills. Many of them, about 69%, are planning to reduce their power usage, complaining of the fact that the cost of living has continued to increase in the UK, and it is affecting them. Nigeria, a few Nigerians that were reported, someone said they can't send money back home as they used to before. Someone from Kogi said he now just eats 1 meal a day.
Hey.
His name was mentioned. Another Nigerian Ope says that he's affected by the dwindling value of their buying power going down, and 100% increase in cost of living has caused a lot of hardship, which I could testify to on my last trip, that many people were really complaining. Well, that's the last paper we can take. My 4 wives.
Yes, that's waiting. Please tell us.
So the Honorable Dogowa, you know him, the popular one from Kano, was speaking on his competence and responding to those who said he was a high-level temperamental person and he wasn't competent to vie for speakership of the House of Assembly to succeed Femi Gbajabiamila. He said, I have never had a divorce. I am a man married to 4 wives and 28 children. And that I have not had a divorce, I have kept my family together, shows that I am more than competent.
Oh my God.
So I thought this clouding has to stop. You should remember that he has a criminal charge against him. I
have seen a comedy skit on pre-election on this kind of comment, and I felt this was ridiculous. It can never happen. But now I'm seeing a live person saying this, like, this is my credibility. I have 4 wives and 28 children, and I manage them well. Well, it's for you to judge. Stay with us, to be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome pioneer Positive Force member, dancing queen of the 80s, non-conformist, Afrobeat historian in her right, and long-standing member of the multiple award-winning all-female show Your View, Omoyeni Yeni Anikulapo Kuti, aka YK Power. Ginger.
Take it.
Today we'll go here.
Hey, I didn't read you.
Are you sure?
Ha. I know. I'm not here to answer questions. I'm here to drink.
We're in trouble today.
Wait till your age.
I was close now.
I
said 1975.
He said 73. He said 75. Fellas wasn't even born till 75.
So will I drink half?
You go drink. Take. Make I help you. Russian.
No be half.
Which half? You will make me drink. I'll give you a hint.
Lights in no. Nepa Road. Nepa Road in Abeokuta.
First of all, my brain cannot memorize everything.
A big black bug.
A big black dog.
Bug. A big black bug.
Oh, sorry. A big.
It don't start.
Ọmọ fẹlá. Ọmọ Anikulapo Kuti. Wọ́n rò pé kíní kékeré yìí.
It's by Audison. It's not by Audison.
Doubt and fear doesn't occur at the canvas, it shows in the canvas. It shows the conation of raw earthen material slabbed, stroked and molded at a pace provided by the doubt and fear. Every move way in the struggle of one to the other, merging the past to the present, brushstrokes of colors seen but not known. For when the wailing stops, the pieces settle down in abject beauty erected for a century of a century. Speaking, advocating, protesting as the arts are meant to be.
It's not just where, but who wouldn't you want to work with?
Yes, that's on that angle.
So Laifa had a very, very interesting...
You wouldn't want to work with who? Not
There's no judgment.
No, and I respect,
they'll judge you definitely,
respect
but we won't
this
judge
certain type of people. But what I dislike so much is when they tend to come to work and then they pour all their
resentment
on you. Is it me that offended you? I'm not the one. I have no business. Man, just come and work with you, pay me at the end of the month and let me go back to my house in peace and sleep. But when it comes to like divorced people, I cannot work with a divorcee. I can't see myself doing that. If I find out, if you can hide it or not, but if I find out,
when they are nice divorcees,
I would just.
What if they are nice?
Okay, now it depends. If you are nice, cool. But if you are the type that you don't know how to keep your anger to yourself, you always pour it on somebody. Well, I'll not drop my resignation letter, no matter the amount you're paying me.
So it's more passive-aggressive people.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, definitely.
And I cannot work with.
Thanks for staying with us. Yesterday, a popular Yoruba actress, Ronke Ojo, popularly known as Ronke Oshodioke, a video went viral as she called out her daughter's school after she was allegedly poisoned. The Nollywood actress went to narrate how she was called in the middle of the night that her daughter had drank hypo and then rushed to the hospital. Although she has refused to name the school, we would like to talk to her to give us the details of the story so that we have clarity, because sometimes we see videos on social media, we read comments that take us left, right, center, but we want to hear it from Madam Ronke herself, and she has joined us via phone call. Good morning, Madam.
Good morning. How are you, ma'am?
Very well, thank you. So my first question to you is, how is your daughter feeling now? How's she doing?
She's better now. She's much better now.
Okay, that's good news. But the video, you mentioned the fact that somebody must have poured hypo into her water bottle. What exactly was the story you heard, and how are you dealing with the situation?
Thank you very much, ma'am. What really happened was that they called me around 3:45 a.m. in the morning that my daughter drank hypo. I was like, really? What happened? What? I don't understand. So the next day, I went to the school. When I got there, I see her lying on a sick bay. I didn't see any doctor. I didn't see anybody there. I was like, what's wrong? What's going on? I met the doctor there. The doctor was down. Sorry, someone just passed my car now.
Oh my God.
So sorry. So sorry.
So I saw Donald. So I saw a doctor there, and the doctor was like, I don't you fix this girl? She was like, all these children, they normally, because they are bored in their hostels, they want to come to the sick day because they want to use the internet, they want to come to the sick day. Yes? Okay, they want to do this, they want to do that. They're just giving unnecessary excuses. I was like, all these things they are saying now, what if something bad happens? I mean, is wrong with this girl. What will you do? All these things you are telling me now is unnecessary excuse. Will you be telling this to the will you be able to say this to the judge, or will you be able to say this to the soldier or the policeman if they come here? They were just using a very excuse, because the only thing they were giving her until I got there was water. They were just giving her drips. No injection, no drugs, nothing. So I had to take her off. I had to take her from that school. We left. Immediately I got home, I took her to a hospital near my house. They gave her some things. I think it's first aid. They gave her first aid. When they gave her the first aid, the next day she was still complaining that told me she's feeling cutting, like someone is cutting her, So I had to take her to Mother and Child Hospital. When we get to Mother and Child Hospital, they now say that they now refer us to Lagos State Hospital last week. So until we got to last week, so when we get to last week, we met a doctor there. They were very nice, they were very kind, they attended to us. Me, myself, I'm strong in the Lord. Everybody knows that I'm strong. With all this wahala, with all this palabra, it was really, really stressful. Because I went through that for almost 2 weeks. Going up, down, from one hospital to another, from this to that, from that to this, everything. So, but now she's fine. At the end of the day, I think about 4 days ago, we went to the hospital back again to go and do a endoscopy. They put a camera in her mouth, They were seeing, I just copy. Anybody that is a medical person will understand what endoscopy means. So that was the end. That's the end of everything. Also, she was better. Now she's better. Now she's okay.
That's
when I got to the school I think day before yesterday, I took her back to school. I didn't like the response. You understand? I didn't like the response I was getting. I don't just like it. I don't feel it.
What was it?
You know, I don't just feel it. They see it as a normal thing that is just norm. And so I was just talking to myself that is it a normal thing? Because me, I don't really like Bahala. I don't like Bahala. I'm not a troublesome person. All this that I do, I want to say.
All right, Madam Nunke, let's get another
Yes, okay,
question.
so I just wanted to find out where exactly did you confirm that hypo was poured in her water? Was it when you got to the sick bay, or was it when she went to the hospital, or was it when you were referred to Lasut and they, checked her? When did you confirm that was what was poured into her water?
Even they sent me a video stuff. They actually snapped it. They recorded it. Our friend snapped it. The person poured the hypo into her water. Maybe someone was coming at that time, so she now threw the hypo. She now threw the hypo, the nylon. She threw it under the bed. She just threw it under the bed. Maybe I think she was scared.
Was it a prank?
Okay, I wanted to get
into... I think she was scared. So she just threw it under the bed. So when she threw it under the bed, fortunately or unfortunately, they saw it.
Okay.
So after
how is the hostel structured? Does she have roommates? Does she, how is this structured?
She has roommates. Yes,
okay, so she had roommates, and there was a used hypo sachet under the bed at the time she was there.
Yes, and they don't use hypo in their room, according to her. According to her and her friends, they don't use hypo in her room. They only use the toilet.
Okay.
This is serious.
So you mentioned that you didn't like the response, because I think that you've been handling this situation privately for the past 2 weeks, according to what you said. I want to be sure I'm right. But when you went back to school, you didn't like their response, and that was why you...
I did not.
So what was the response that you didn't like?
I did feel them. I think they should do more. You understand?
Did they investigate?
Done more.
Is the police involved? Did they come to check on her when she was in hospital? Did they say anything to say they're investigating?
They didn't come to check on her. They didn't come to check up on her. Nobody came. They were only calling. The school is outside Lagos. It was just a call. I was the one calling more, because I was sending them videos. Each and every hospital we went to, I was sending them videos.
Are they saying anything about investigating it to find out exactly who did it and why?
Yes, they are doing their investigation, according to them.
Okay.
According to them. And I witnessed some of the investigations.
Okay.
You understand? But I feel they should have done more.
And now you said you said you've taken her back to the same school. Are you uncomfortable? How do you feel knowing that you have left her there again, and especially since there's the results of the investigation is not out yet? Are you comfortable just taking her back to that school?
That is why I did the video I did yesterday. Because I know some of them will have watched that video. You understand? And I don't have anything. I know I have a voice. And thank God the video has gone viral.
Okay. Are you hoping that the video would compel them to protect her better or do a proper investigation?
I'm still going back to the school. I'm going back to the school tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm going back to the school tomorrow. Either tomorrow or Monday. I'll go back to the school. So you understand what I'm saying?
So the question many people are asking
this thing is out of hand for now. It's out of hand. People are calling, are they receiving calls?
Yeah.
People are saying so many things,
So one of the core questions a lot of people are asking on social media, and even we are curious about it, is that why are you not mentioning the name of the school? You know, we saw what happened with Caleb. Many schools have had a bit of issues that they mentioned. We know the names of the school. If you are already displeased with how they are managing the situation, and even though you know they are doing something, you are displeased with the pace of investigation. Why have you not mentioned the school, and how are you sure that your child will still be safe going back to that school? Like something like that will not happen again.
I will be going back to school tomorrow or Monday. You understand? And when I go back to the school tomorrow or Monday, I will call them before I go. I need to have a meeting with the top officials of the school. You understand? And I will know they would like to see me as well. So when I get there, whatever they say, how I see they handle the situation will let me know what I'm going to do. You understand? Either I will mention the full name or I will not mention it. I still want to hold on till Monday. I'm going to give them till Monday. By Monday, when they are not doing what they're supposed to do, I'm going to mention the name of the school.
I'm sorry, I was going to mention Priscilla, not Caleb, but Nima has a question.
I hope that, I just hope that your daughter is safe till, you know.
Yes.
From now, you know, for
now and then,
because, you know, because we cannot, I wish that there was a proper investigation immediately. So the school should have brought in the police if they do not have the machinery to investigate immediately. And everybody in the hostel at the time when she took that drink ought to have, you know, been sort of brought in for questioning, so we know exactly what we are dealing with, because it could be a mistake, it could also be poisoning, deliberate act. As
so
they don't want to
be sure, does she have people that are hating on her or hating on you that might end up attacking? So that they are very angry
gone wrong. You know, these people.
I think we'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll conclude this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome the one who can make time stand still forever, Mr. Kelechi Amadi. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, my brother.
You love that intro, Abi?
Yeah. It was great.
Okay,
thank you.
We try like that.
Thank you.
Now my question, which I feel is a cheap question.
Oh, go ahead.
What does ISO stand for?
That is it. I think I will drink.
No, you're joking.
I'm not joking.
Kelechi Amadi. No. Shay, you didn't whine me. You're whining me now.
I think I will drink.
Huh?
No problem.
Okay.
I've always known this as ISO. I never bothered to know what it means. I know what it means, but I never bothered to know what the acronym is. Tell me the brand of camera that I use, so much so that, you know, I even became an ambassador. That's very easy, you know. You know, it's out there.
It's supposed to be, yeah.
I just said, let me give you this one as a token of my appreciation.
Sony.
Drink!
No, I'm not done. You did not say final answer.
It's final answer.
You did not ask me if that was my final answer.
You don't have any choice again. It's only
Nikon.
How many cameras do they have? My
Nikon.
friend to drink. I gave you a very easy something.
Nikon now.
Alright, thanks for staying with us. We have been talking to Ronke Ojo, popularly known as Ronke Oshodi, who was narrating on social media what happened in her daughter's school, where she was allegedly poisoned with a bleach poured into her water bottle, where she drank, and she's been discussing with us that she didn't like the response from the school. Before we went on the break, the conversation had been in the point of, based on your conversation with, we're trying to understand a bit more, that based on your conversation with your daughter, do you think, was she able to identify people she feels or she felt might have been, might be involved in this? Could it be a prank, or was it a deliberate attempt to poison her? What have you heard so far, ma?
It was a deliberate attempt.
Okay.
They did it deliberately. You understand?
Okay.
And I don't know, because my daughter is like me. She's naive. You understand? I don't think she has anybody in mind. You understand? She doesn't have anybody in mind. She doesn't think about anybody. So she doesn't have anybody in mind. We've been asking her though. We've been asking her. She doesn't have anybody in mind.
But Runke, you are a public figure and
yes,
you're a popular person. Anything could be the reason for motivation for this act if it was truly a deliberate one, as we allege. What are you doing to ensure that you get to the root of it? Because I would love to hear that you've also filed the petition independently from the school to have the police investigate this.
You know, I told you, I just came out of the trauma about 3 days ago. So that's why I finished social media. I've not done anything up till now.
Officially.
I've not done anything up till now. But like right now, I want to go to school. I want to go to the school on either tomorrow, because I'm going on location now. I want to go to school, to the school either tomorrow or Monday. So is there a response now that will tell me what to do? You understand? Is there a response now that will tell me what to do?
What response are you doing? What response would you get that will make you feel comfortable? And what response do you think you get that will make you decide to go this by yourself and meet the police on your own?
I can't do it all alone. I can't do it all alone now. I'm not putting on social media. I'm going to involve my lawyer. I can't do it all alone. I can't do it all alone.
Yes, what are you expecting to hear from the school to give you confidence that they are on it?
Not ordinary confidence. They have to do more. We're talking about a child right here now. Yes. A 19-year-old child. I raised her on my own. Me, myself, and I. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, it's not been easy. But I said it earlier, yes. I don't really like trouble. I don't really like trouble. If you know me very well, you know that I don't really... All these people that I do, I only do it upset. If I'm upset, I'm a different person. You understand what I'm saying? So I think they know that I'm a calm person. So they are now taking that as an advantage on their own side. But I'm going to tell them that I can be calm and at the same time I can be troublesome.
True.
You understand what I'm saying?
You need to be.
When I get there, is the response they give me, is their body language, is their attitude that will let me know what I'm going to do next.
Okay.
And they're going to put, yes, if they don't give the assurance, I'm going to take my daughter off that. And when I'm taking my daughter off that school, if I take my daughter off that school, it's not going to be easy. Because my daughter will have been out, I'll be able to do whatever I want to do that time.
Okay, so I sense that you don't want to expose your daughter by mentioning the school, because that would also mean everybody will know what school she's in as well. So
no, it's not that though. It's not that. It's not because I don't want to expose my daughter. Yes, I don't want to expose my daughter.
Okay.
And I don't want to expose the school
as well.
For now.
Yes.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to expose my daughter. I don't want to expose the school for now, because I know if I expose the school for now, I know what they are going to go through.
All right. So, of course, we are very happy, and I'm sure you are also happy to know that your daughter is fine, and it's something everybody would be happy to hear about. We've heard so many stories in recent times where something could have gone wrong, scary things. You've raised your child, and then one little mistake. So we're grateful to God for you. We celebrate God on your behalf, and we're also all going to be waiting to hear the feedback from the school, to determine your line of action. But I wanted to just ask this final question. How are you dealing with the social media trolls? Because when I saw your video and I read the comments, the comments left, right, center, how are you keeping yourself? Are you reading the comments or you are ignoring the comments?
Number one, if you don't love someone, you won't tell the person the truth. They are just saying the truth. If they may say it in the wrong way, it's just the truth. You understand? The Bible will say, don't worry, I need to buy one, you come out and daddy. But about daddy, that is when they are telling themselves the truth. You understand what I'm saying? They may say, oh, no God. They may say any other thing. It is because they love me. If they don't love me, they won't be harsh like that. So if I don't read comments, I ignore comments. I don't read comments. It's like one of my sisters coming from the US. She's the one that is reading the comments for me. You understand? She was telling me what they are saying. I really ignore comments. I don't read. But whatever they say at this point is because they love me. It's because they love my child, and I appreciate it.
Okay. So I like the perspective you're taking to the comment that, and I think it's good for sanity not to just sit down and keep reading all those comments. And we're praying that there will be a positive result from all of this. And most importantly, this would not happen again within that setting, because it will flag down. The school is being flagged to pay attention to all these things. Thank you for sharing your story with us, and that's all we can take from you. We'll let you go to your location, and all the best with the shoot. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll move on to other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help welcome to the show, La General, the one and only Pere Egbe. Which of the following is false about teeth? We are born with 20 primary teeth. Teeth are the hardest substance in the body. Teeth are the strongest bones in the body.
Teeth is not a bone, actually.
Teeth can self-repair.
The strongest bone in the body, no. Teeth is not a bone.
Final answer?
Teeth is not a bone. You know what came to my head now? That sound. Crickets.
So, editor, you can put that cricket sound there. You can still put it down too.
When was the first Gulda ultimate search? Editor?
Don't put any cricket sound. I'm talking. Okay, Pere. How many times has Ghana qualified for the World Cup?
5 times. Hey, you can't do that now.
That's what it is.
Wait. Calm down. Why are you like this?
This is your team.
Small play now.
They will not
Somebody cannot play with you again.
They will not be impressed though. The team that you're supporting. And
Ghana will be alright.
Yeah, that's last.
Charlie? Cheers, Charlie.
Come closer. A little bit more. Perfect. I have exciting news for you. You asked for it and you got it. Your favorite breakfast show, Your View, will be going to 2 hours. We're going to have in-depth analysis of the newspaper review and more conversations on the hot topics. The ladies of Your View and I will be stirring up our guests to get in-depth into all the various topics, and you, our viewers, will have the opportunity to call in and share your views. After all, it's your view. Join us on Your View 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. for a fantastic conversation. Don't miss it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Made Kuti in the view. It's still 7 of 7, and we've been doing a whole lot of protesting. The only thing that remains is just to carry placard.
It's about 5 of 7, to be honest, because ask your question. I have so much to speak about once we finish.
We'll not give you the time because it's 7 of 7.
I will make the time now. He said he will not ask questions about science.
No.
Neuroplasticity.
And based on...
He asked a question that was subjective about high life. And he did not finalize his answer about a Kuti question where there are only 3 of us.
Editor, scratch this part out.
That could have possibly composed the music.
Editor, scratch this part out.
Stupidity is an act of ignorance.
Hey God, Made.
Was composed by which Kuti?
Femi Kuti.
Is that your final answer?
God, I'm Seun Kuti. No, wait, Femi Kuti.
You said
Femi Kuti. Wait.
You can't be allowed.
No, you've not asked me anything.
Everyone.
You've not asked me anything. So my final answer.
No. All I have to say is this show is really about drinking.
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
The questions don't matter.
That's the whole
Justice
idea.
is out the window.
We throw caution to
We
the
have
wind
no
right
morals here.
On the 7 of 7.
So, have you ever wondered what happens behind the curtains of a man's mind? Or perhaps you're one of those who wonder what men talk about when they gather. Well, here goes. Imagine what it takes to put together the perfect cocktail. Or maybe mocktail. We need a bit of sports, a sprinkling of current affairs, some very deep topical issues, and last but not the least, a healthy dose of grumbling of those we love to hate. And yes, you guessed it, women. So, if you catch the drift, then you're onto something. We will provide you with the right insights into most of your curiosity.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. A video went viral and we saw a group of men who claimed to be brothers beating up their sister's husband. According to them, he had been beating up his wife, their sister, for years, and they have been warning him, in their words, this is the best way to curb domestic violence. What's your thought on this? Should we use violence to fight violence? Join the conversation by calling us on 081-270-53687, or you can call us on 091-390-76948. So, Nima, somebody on this show, I can't remember the person, I don't want to just, but I think it's Nima. I said, okay, I think it was Mariah. Mariah shared that story that there was someone that was beating up, threatened, and I think there was a bit of beating of a woman, and then the brothers went there and beat up the man, and that was the end of domestic violence in the house, because they showed that the woman is not alone, and she had people that care about her, and people that were willing to fight for her. But is violence the solution to curbing domestic violence, Mariam?
You know, there are some conversations that are politically correct to have. And then there are some that you do at the back of your room. So, for me, I don't believe in violence and non-violence. Two wrongs don't make a right, because we know how these things can, what they may lead to. Sometimes you're just hoping to slap someone around to teach somebody a lesson, and then the person faints or the person dies, and then it's a whole other matter that we're discussing. So it's best to just go the route of, the police, report that person to police and make sure that that person is prosecuted or things like that, or remove yourself from that violent situation. That is what I feel most comfortable with. Because it's not always the case that you now use violence to, in this case, beat up a brother-in-law, and then you leave. Maybe he does not beat her up for a few days or a few months, and then he remembers every day he's just sitting there in his house brooding like, hey. So they came and they embarrassed me, they beat me in front of you and in front of our children, and then he does something even more violent than what he was doing. So for me, the best thing is even to take yourself out of the situation, and if that person is such a danger, that person should, be reported taken to police custody. But I would not lie. There's this feeling of satisfaction you get when a bully is being, given a taste of their own medicine.
Yeah.
There's that, like, now you know how it feels. Look at your face. Also, you can beg. Oh, you know how to cry too. So you can feel the pain. I know that is there, but just for safety's sake, really don't be involved in violence.
I don't want to be politically correct.
Please, thank you.
This has been the method over the years. So I don't know how we got so, what would I call it, dramatic during our traditional marriages. But when it was done in those days, the reason they call the family boys is so that the man will be giving the riot act. That in case your muscle is lifting up, don't turn my daughter to a punching bag. Then the boys at the back will invite the husband. Okay, on my own wedding, my husband was invited, even though my brother was younger.
Yeah.
And he told him, he said, this your wife, she's a problem. First of all, pay first. He paid. And such conversations, my cousins, and the boys in my family, they have this muscle, that
muscle.
Come and show you muscle. So that's how it's done. They converse and they talk about the girl. They tell you how much they cherish her and all of that. So that in case you want to be doing gangam, it's allowed. I remember this story as a child when one of my aunties was going back and forth, and my father kept saying, the first thing you usually would do as a brother is visit the family. You beg the husband, and some men with sweet mouth, she's not good at all. There was one I saw where direct at the father, you do not raise your daughter at all.
Wow.
Insulting the family and such things. My father was saying, you can just talk to the person first. Then the next time, I remember when his sister was beaten, my father just instructed my mom, said, go and move her out of the house, because to avoid beating the hell out of that man. It is a method traditionally Africans have deployed, and it's one of the things that gives me pride, if only it could have been retained. Yes, it gives me pride. When a man thinks that, I know, I've married this less girl, I can deal with her, you need somebody to remind you she's cherished. Families should, I want to finish. Families should start to step in the right way. It used to stop domestic violence. There's the respect that you must ensure. That's why we have now turned it down to money. The respect you must ensure that man has for the family of the girl he's marrying. But some family people have gotten greedy. You see the uncles who will not be directly affected asking for money when they should focus on the discussion. So they know Olokundi, as in she's from a family, she has a lineage. She's from a well-to-do. You don't just marry a girl, bring her home. When you talk to her 2 times, 3 times, pow, 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 and you'll be normal. So you must respect the family. And such treatment to any daughter is an insult by extension to her brothers. So showing that they are weak.
This reminds me of why most parents insist that you should do a proper marriage, be married traditionally, because they feel like if you go through that traditional marriage process, you come into the house, you have a conversation, you understand that there's this woman is coming from a family. But what about women that don't have that kind of setting? Maybe they are orphans, they grew up across from different members of the family, and by the time they were old enough, before they were getting married, they already started living by themselves without that sort of family structure of big brothers that will come and fight. I don't have big brothers or younger brothers, so
you think
going
you
to
have
come
cousins?
We have just one. I didn't have
biological brother
at the wedding. At my wedding, we didn't have that conversation of, hey, of course, every Yoruba wedding they will say, I'm not giving you my daughter for you to train her. I'm not giving you a cane to flog her. That conversation during weddings in most cases. But the idea of how do we now protect the people that don't have brothers that would fight for them. And
So,
the culture of violence. Are you sure that the idea of doing this fighting
that's not the culture of violence
issue?
That's the culture of defense. You're missing the point.
Okay.
Something it provoked that reaction. If I come to you once, don't beat my sister again, even as a girl, me, and I tell you, no, this is Ghana, uncle, this method of is not good. Please, next time you people can talk at me, and the next time I'm invited and I meet my sister in a war state, trust me, I will beat you. I will get people who are bigger than you. No, I'm serious. That's why I say I don't want to be politically correct. Because some people need to taste this medicine. I have seen a man who was so demeaned by his in-laws to the point of begging. He never tried it again. But because every time they come, they will sit him, he will start talking about how she's badly raised. You married an adult. If you are not ready to marry, leave her. You don't carry your wife and beat.
Mariam,
I will beat you if I was a man.
Let me take this call. Okay. Yes. Someone has called in on the show. When we take that call, I'll come to you, Mariam. Caller from Ikeja, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Do you agree with...
Let me first of all put, good morning everybody. Let me first of all put this thing so that you know it is back. Ecclesiastes 3:1-8. I won't read everything. For everything there is a season and a time for every matter under heaven. If you read down, there's a time to kill and a time to heal. If you read further down, there's a time to keep and a time to throw away. There's a time to care and a time to stay. There's a time to love and a time to hate. There's a time for war and a time for peace. I always say, when it is time to fight and you keep peace, there will be problems.
Yes, sir.
When it is time to keep peace and you fight, there will be problems. So, in some situations, and I can give myself as an example, in some situations, retaliation will cause any further nonsense. Whether as the woman, you are the one that will carry hot water and fall, or you are the one that will grind pepper and rub when the person is sleeping. Believe me, sometimes, a lot of times, not even sometimes, a lot of times it works. Caution, don't ever do it in the middle of the night where the person can wake up and it's only two of you. Do it when you can do and run outside.
Yes. I'm with you.
Second scenario
is true.
If you have family members that can defend you, please
run to them.
I suffered in silence for maybe like 3 years before my brain woke up. Until now, you can see years later, my sister. But some efforts were treated and treated royally. The third one is, at the point that violence is happening in the marriage, you should know it's one or two ways. Either the marriage ends, or you treat the person's idiocy and the marriage works.
Okay. So, our first caller seems to be supporting Nima's point of view.
So, the example she gave the Bible, time for peace and a time for war. And I agree, there is a time for war. But what are the weapons of war that you're using? That's my problem. And that for me is what is important. Now we will say that there's a way we would say it and it's funny and you feel like you can learn from it. What if the person decides to use a gun? What if the person, we've heard it, women who get so frustrated from the domestic violence and they decide it's time for war now and they take a gun. So people have taken knives and stabbed their husbands. And in the end, nobody's talking about the domestic violence. They are now talking about the criminal act that you have committed. And that's for me is the reason why I would not encourage violence for violence. I encourage taking yourself out of it and getting the police involved. Let your weapon of warfare be the police doing what they are meant to do. Lock that person up for as long as that person needs to be locked up. Let the person do some form of, work. And if you, for me, I don't even understand how I want to be in a marriage after we have beaten each other. Do you understand?
But she's celebrating 19 years after, and she said the first 3 years was
I know. But I'm like, for me, Miriam, I don't know how, after you have beaten me, then I'll now call all my family people, then they now beat you. Then 3 years down, then will be GC say, mind yourself, or else I will call that uncle to come and beat you. I'll be too embarrassed. I don't want to have that kind of conversation. I don't want to be.
But let's say Kelechi has called you down then. I love where you are. I want us to say this there. Yes. Please, Kelechi, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Uncle, good morning.
Good morning.
Please, see, domestic violence and the gender-based violence, so to speak, has been discussed on this platform several times, and it's favored only the women. And someone like me, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not saying the men are better, but a balance should be, you should strike a balance.
Okay.
Let me share this story with you. A guy was invited in an airline. While he was waiting in the reception, it's a big airline though. I worked in that airline. While he was waiting to be called for the interview, he slumped and died right inside that reception. The wife is a lawyer. It was during his week we discovered how terrible the wife was. So you understand, the wife was. Do you know the wife sometimes the guy was a calm person. Sometimes the wife would beat him up as he was going out. Sometimes he would lock the guy outside, he sleep in the passage. Several times. In fact, the way was dismissed in anger. So you understand? So see, what I'm saying is, so a situation, how do you reconcile it? How do you define a situation where a woman will keep making the man uncomfortable with her ranting and her problems?
Emotional violence.
We'll go Nima style. We'll call your sisters.
No, but that's the style. Let me quickly do the balance.
Yes.
So Kelechi is talking on one side. Traditionally, just as the brothers are supposed to show up at an abusive husband, the sisters show up at a narcissistic wife. So one of such occurrences happened in my own family, and my aunties, they came in and she locked them out. They boxed the door and crushed her with the door and said, "You see this, our brother, we must not hear again that he does not have a mouth to speak in his house." Traditionally, there are methods that we've all downplayed because, we're becoming modern. It's like you just sitting in your house on the weekend and 3 of your sister-in-laws say they choose to visit you.
Yeah.
To address an issue. You will not want that kind of meeting to happen again.
No.
Immediately, whatever it is that,
So a conversation can be had and not beaten. From Raphael.
We heard that they want the brother over.
Yeah, we'll get you.
Beating can get to the point, okay, bounce out. Let's give you our weakest son.
Raphael,
you want to be beating people.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Raphael. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I am Raphael from the
You're welcome to the show.
Yeah, this discussion, I'm happy, very good discussion this morning. I've been a fan, and this is my first time I'm calling.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I love this discussion because presently I'm having one of the issues around me now, even at yesterday. So I want to support Miriam. On our own opinion. Saying that violence for violence is not going to lead us properly. For instance, if the husband or the wife tried abroad, bringing our brother for whatever reason and be beat up or rescue that time, the rescue is not only going to be for that time. And also the husband who is the champion of the house will also go back again as a force. Going to look for one person or the other to defend that I am assaulted in my own house. And at the end of the day, we don't know where that will possibly end up with. Remembering that they have to do our watching from both of the family. So I support Miriam.
I agree.
So we've heard 2 very, very clear sides. Nima is of the opinion that traditionally this was a way to curb violence within the home, and it happens in both cases. So Kelechi, we have balanced it. But Mariam's of the opinion that you can't put a limit to how the violence would go. You might think, I'm just going to slap, and then you slap and he hits his head on the wall and he dies,
which
and then
is
things go out of control.
So let's get more serious here. Okay. Domestic violence is one thing that happens and can be very damaging. Imagine that he continues to beat his wife and who never raises her hand for defense, and the first time she tried to defend herself, she picks a knife and stabs him wrongly. We'll be in court. If she has a good lawyer, she will get away with it for self-defense. But if she doesn't get beaten and they learn to converse over time, we will never get to the point of provocation and one person acting irrational at the time of fear.
Okay.
So the same goes for the woman who constantly abuses her husband verbally. Some even go physical because they have a bigger abuse on their husbands in the house. the first time the man might decide to do something, it might just be the wrong push and she hits her head and decides to, and that's it. That's why domestic violence is discouraged on every front.
And I'm happy you raised that, because usually if when it happens and the woman may get some empathy that, okay, she's been in such a toxic relationship and she stood up for the first time. A man would not. Nobody will want to hear that this is the first time you hit your wife and then she died. Nobody's going to hear that. So is it not just better to tell the men and women, to tell our sons and daughters, do not even involve yourself. Come and tell me I'm your mother. I will take you to the police. I will take you out of there. So I also like
those days. You don't just easily quickly welcome.
No, I know that tradition. I agree with you. See, I respect our tradition, and you know, as you're growing older, there's so many things you cast your mind back, and you understand the reason why things were done that way. And we did not have a justice system like we do today. So that was the justice system. They used to take them and throw them into a dark forest for them to be eaten by animals.
Forbidden forest.
Thank you. But now we have a system. And I also think self-preservation is key. In the end, look at it in, you know, preserve yourself, preserve your life, preserve your health, preserve your sanity. Take yourself out. Take your children out of that vicinity. If the man is not moved by the threat that you will be leaving the house, if a woman is not moved by the fact that this marriage will be ending, I'm telling you, there's no amount of marriage.
There was no marriage in the first place. There's something you mentioned earlier that I think we should dig a bit on, is the fact that what if a violence was one-off? You said, I cannot imagine, you know, that scenario of, I cannot imagine somebody will beat me and then we beat back, and after the quarrel will now continue in peace. But what if the violence was a one-off? What if the husband or the wife are going through a very tense situation and they shocked themselves and behaved out of character and became violent with their partner, and the resultant violence from the partner made them realize that no matter how frustrated you are, violence is never the solution, and they're able to build a marriage on from that point. That is no more violence. You know, people were our last caller, and I hate to use as an example, but you know, people were commenting that she shouldn't have taken her daughter back to that school. You know, they say, oh, if he has beaten you once, he will beat you again. Don't ever remain in that situation. But what if it was a one-off and it doesn't happen again? How do we now? Should we now end up scattering a beautiful relationship based on?
You never know. You never know. Let me give you one gist. I remember when we were in secondary school, one of my friends used to date someone who was much older, and we looked at her like the business until I got close and realized he used to slap her here once in a while. And one day I was sitting down with them when he was this, he was like, you know, sometimes in his own mind though, I just give her a slap, just a slap, you know, like, yes, like, you know, when we're angry, it's not like it's not a thing that I do. I'm not a violent person. But, you know, she runs her mouth a bit and I just slap her. And my friend was smiling beside as the man of her life is helping adjust her. If that girl if my friend were to go on to marry that sort of person, I'm very sure it would have been a domestic violent situation in her marriage. But he explained it a certain way. We were young, but I just remember me sitting down there and thinking, this is horrible. I went cold. I was so upset. This is horrible. But for her, at that time, she was just sitting down beside her man that understands how to handle a woman. So it's not, I don't know about if it's, maybe when, see, some people will give you their story, just like our previous caller when she said, this is what we did, and we're able to enjoy many years of marriage. So until it happens, then you can say, oh, but before then you cannot say for sure what it will go, because that is a good story we have heard. I mean, it was not too long ago we talked about the gospel singer.
So yes, Ima, let me come to you after taking this phone call. Adeniro has called us from Ashishi. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning, my dear. Everybody in the house. Everybody. Very good. I appreciate and enjoy all these your hot topics almost every morning. It was interesting last week when our leader happened to be a guest speaker on the show. So I was somehow interested in having her and a person to be interviewed. Anyway, come to the topic of the day.
Okay.
You know, you guys always do fantastic on this through this medium. I don't think Nima's suggestion is the solution. We might have been coming from one traditional setting or the other from the beginning. But remember, even in Islam, I don't think anything possible is that. Refer to Miriam's opinion. You don't quench fire with fire. And then when you look at it, the result is a long-standing fluid. You don't know where the man, if you don't know a man, you do not.
Okay. So I was going to, give examples of how some men are wired. I've sat up close with men who said, no, there's nothing there. Just something to show her that you're the man. You slap her once in a while. And I sat up close. In fact, I remember saying to someone that, you see the way your sister is being treated. The husband will beat the sister and think she's not learning enough, and then beat and drag her outside and make her, and put her naked. So to demean her further. And neighbors will be like, you don't have family, you don't have people. And that person will be like, doesn't solve. Because she will then go back in love and all of that. And when you went there, you saw your sister in that state. You didn't get provoked enough for the man to fear that something will happen to the extent he had opportunity to talk. Why I'm saying this is because, just because as the last caller just said it again. I'm saying, show an abuser, just as you would as a mother when somebody abuses your child, that this child has a defense. Let that abuser fear something. It is traditionally done. I did not quote Islam and I didn't go legal. If we even want to talk legal, the process. I have had domestic violence cases of 2019 still pending in court today. And the man is using every means to make sure that woman doesn't see her kids. The abuse continues to extend. Imagine that what Shola did was what she had done in the first year of her marriage. Sometimes the women standing up, when you stand up to your abuser, you curb your abuser's excesses. But when you cower down, the abuser just thinks, I married a child.
So we'll talk
about
how
you
stand up. How do you stand up? That's the conversation.
Yes.
How far is too far?
So, and the legal process has to be given this urgency that it requires. Yes. There's a special court for that purpose. You can file within 48 hours. You can get your defense. But Nigerians will come to the lawyers without money. So you want to do the right thing, but you don't have the funds. So we have so many other, your family that married you out, were you people just cohabiting? You don't have family. He must be able to walk to your family and he mustn't talk to them.
I know that Sharia court will not even give you time to waste that. Let's
take a break.
Sharia courts have in some ways supported such nonsense that I know of.
Well, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about how far is too far in standing up for yourself. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, multiple award-winning actor, producer, ambassador of Edo People, we have Etinosa Idemudia in the building.
Not be first to go police station, they win the case.
Okay.
So you are showing yourself.
I can say as my second question.
You are feeling like a contact the prancing peacock. I'm about to cut your wings. Hello. Now, in the amalgamation of 1914, who was the woman who drew the line of the amalgamation? Who cut the report? Who is the person that used scissors? What is his name?
That woman.
You have done me dirty. I've marked your face. If anything happened to me today, if I don't reach my house. Anyway, I'm gonna be chauffeured, so.
You remember now, Avi? Yeah, but you never too thin. Now you remember.
Hey.
If a person who indulges habitually in watching a sexual material is called a voyeur.
That's what they're called.
You clearly say you don't go even get the next one.
Hey, a voyeur.
Voyeur.
Then go on.
What is a person who makes one
a
called?
Voyeur. A voyagist. A bon voyage.
This is 7 of 7. My name is OJ and signing a sobriety into my hands tonight on this social experiment called the 7 of 7 is Owen G. What is the name or what was the name? You said I want to make them better now.
Rock Heart.
No,
That's
of the goats when they brought it on stage.
The name of that goat.
Yeah.
We should go there.
No, that one easy now.
I'm just drinking this so that I can ask him my own questions. It's not because of
Buga.
He didn't get it. You know. You know. Okay. Mention 10 female stand-up comedians in Nigeria. See, just mention their stage name. If you annoy me, you will mention their real names and the year they started. And if you annoy me further, you mention the names of their husbands and the names of their children. Try me now. Okay, mention their name.
No, let's just.
No, wait. No, don't. No. Name, real name, stage name, husband name, children name. 10 of them.
Even the 10. That's a lot.
Eh?
That's a lot.
Did I cut your question for you?
Yes.
When you were happy now. With your hunchback.
That was it.
You are wasting time. We don't have time. See, my brother, before we go on a commercial break, you are stubborn. And I told you since. You find that you play this your hair does not mean. You understand? See this bad hair you are looking at. It's experience. I've suffered before you.
But I try now.
When you there during the military era of Abacha and Babangida, you know what happened?
I be Gen Z.
So that Gen Z, I will remove 4 out of 10.
That's like
4 out of 10 they passes. Don't drink this thing. Where baby you are on here. Drink out. If I land you.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We've been discussing domestic violence and the retaliation mission. And we are trying to understand how far is too far when we decide to retaliate. Some of the opinion that we should approach it in terms of having a conversation, trying to be rational. And another opinion is you cannot be rational with somebody that is irrational. There's no conversation to be had. And because we also don't want to speak, we don't want to support or promote violence, especially all the other spiritual things that can happen from that violence. Because if you allow your children to grow up in a violent environment, you might end up raising kids that will be doing the exact thing that you as a woman suffered from to another person's daughter. If you decide to condone and live in violence as a man, you might end up raising your boys to feel like it's okay to be beaten and pushed around. So the effect is beyond you. The effect of violence is transgenerational. And so it's important that we find a way to nip it in the bud or nip it early enough in a way that will not become a crime. So that's the part we need to, because if we follow the culture that Nima mentioned, we might end up committing a crime to stop a crime, and we don't want that.
So I just want to also say that what Nima is saying, there's a part of it that I think we need to emphasize, and I agree with that part, which is you don't hide domestic violence from your family.
Yeah.
It's important that your family is aware, and that's how they can help you. But the only place I differ is the method of helping you. But I'm not saying that because no violence for violence, that a woman should sit down quietly inside a violent home and receive it and not say anything until the day that she, goes crazy. We must speak up about domestic violence. We must let someone know, trusted family members know, our parents, our siblings, our cousins. We have to speak up. For men, especially, we are hearing this even more these days, that there are men who are going through this and they're afraid to talk. They feel ashamed because nobody, is like it's something, it's like an abuse to their ego, like, how can you, a whole man, be hit? Please speak to a friend, speak to someone that you trust, and let your family be involved in solving it. Because men, we know of men who are in domestic violence situations. The only reason that they are not hitting back, because they know if they do hit back, it would go, you know, that the woman will not be able to take it. She may break a limb, you know, she may break a limb or something, and so they found themselves in this conundrum where I can't do anything about it, and I'm so tired of the situation I'm in.
Sit around and say,
let's take a phone call. So let's take a phone call. Ali was called from Abuja. Welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
So which side of the fence are you on?
Yes, I think I'm so happy getting people. I was wondering whether this line is a special line that's only open to some special.
Welcome to the show.
I'm trying, and finally, thank God I've got you.
Oh, welcome.
Yes, in fact, I think I'm addicted to this your program.
Oh.
I can't do without watching this your view. In fact, it's like an addiction in short.
Yeah,
I love you guys, and I think you are doing a very wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yes, I've been listening to this conversation. Even the Hajia here, I think she was talking about tradition. I think sometimes, you see, our tradition is so important that tradition teaches you lesson. You don't hear anything. It's just like when we said, okay, come and swear with the tradition that you will not do this. You will never even try it because you know that then you can. But now, somebody will hold Bible, hold Quran, he can do anything you want to do because he said, God will not even do anything until maybe until when I die. But when you look at this domestic violence, let's look at it this way. Number one, I blame the women in marriage. I blame the women in marriage because I don't understand what they reason. When they say marriage, it is that marriage is about happiness. How can you get married to a man who has been battering you, beating you, subjecting you to all kinds of trauma, and in the name of saying that I don't want to divorce? You know, this for better for worse thing has rendered everything something ridiculous. Look at even when you go to the so-called men of God, whenever you are being abused, they will encourage you, just endure. Look at the woman that was killed the other time by her husband, that singer, popular singer. Look at imagine that woman is how will you feel? So in as much as yes, another version is saying that you don't do fire for fire because sometimes in the process to retaliate, how do you measure the level of retaliation?
Out of proportion.
But the question is this, the women that are in marriage will want the husband that so much said to your parents that so much love you begin to violate you or beat you back, you know, kind of dehumanizing you as much. Why don't you out of that marriage? Once you be in marriage, and sometimes maybe that man is not meant for you. If it's meant for you, just like the other lady said that how can a man beat you after beating you blue black? Suddenly some people intervene and say, don't worry, you can go and stay. Even me, I'm married. I told my wife, I pray that the devil will not step in. The moment I raise my hand, the marriage is over. I can't imagine a woman I beat later in bed say, I love you, darling, beat me, and then continue again. That man will do another worse thing to your life. And life is precious. And I think if a man that actually loves you.
Thank you so much, Ali. You got it today and you really contributed.
Yes.
But, you know, we need to realize something. You know, I said it earlier. I said that when you don't deal with domestic violence, you breed a generation of domestic violence. So there are men and women who would beat you and feel that they really love you. Like they are convinced that you provoke. They will beg you. And they will beg you and tell you, I love you. I'm sorry. I didn't know what happened. You just got me so angry and I slapped you and I'm sorry. And then 2 days after they slap again and they will be sorry. They would apologize. So you cannot deal rationally with someone who is going through, who's been raised in a traumatic way. So we are not dealing with rationally, human being to human being. Why would I beat you when I cannot even beat my friend? I cannot if you're my friend, I won't beat you, I won't hurt you. Then I love you, you've given me children. Why would I want to hurt such a person? That's a rational, good thinking person. But the person who resorts to violence, there is something wrong in the formation of that person right from time. And they've seen it as normal, which is not. So they need to be reset.
People raise their girls. So think it is the manly thing when he beats you.
Oh yes.
There's a woman who said to me that I know my husband loves me when he gets to slapping me.
And he
slaps me.
Yeah.
That's whenever, because I'm crazy. When I go crazy, I get slapped. And when he does it, I know it's because he loves me.
Wow.
I was a 16-year-old girl listening to two sisters and one saying that nonsense to another. And I thought, no, they don't beat this one. The brain no, they work well again.
Obviously,
but some people raise their girls to say, when you learn the ways of your husband, so that he never beats you, you never provoke him, you do everything to please him. That's when you're a good daughter-in-law and a good representation of our family. So when they send you there and you're beaten, what do you do? Do you understand?
Yes.
Wait till you do them. When you don't see the few ones who say, don't beat our sister again, this is not going, and then they finally get provoked to the point they tie you to a tree and give you better lashing, you say they did something wrong. No, we've seen this. We are Africans, just as we're talking tradition. These are methods that, traditionally we're used to teach some girls. Submission.
Okay, so the original question we're trying to answer.
People, what they would do is, I've seen this, but it was a movie, where they will bring boxing gloves and say, okay, so this one is not in beating. It's like, okay, let's fight this thing man to man in a boxing ring, and let's have our family members
I've heard stories too.
So maybe that is another way. But
that's humiliating. But you get a bit ashamed, so that maybe the shame will now curb you from doing that kind of thing again. Let's take Jane from Oshodi. Then we have not answered that question, which is how far is too far in our revenge mission? Jane, welcome to the show.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I'm happy that I'm calling after listening to some callers. Let me take it from the last caller who just called. And, this issue of marriage, I pray God will help us. That's how we must look before we leap. I don't want us to come on air and encourage marriages to break up because of issue of violence.
Break up now.
But the point is that before you got married, didn't you? That's why they will ask you questions. Do both of you take each other? They will ask you questions. You are standing before God and before man to take that vow. They will ask both of you. They will even ask people if you have any reasons why these two should not be joined together, and they will even ask both of you. And both of you say we don't have any reasons, and you join yourself. Someone said, one of my pastors have said, the day you get married, God just takes the key of that marriage and throws it into an ocean. Because you have signed the lifelong contract. That is why you don't rush, you must look before you leave. So you don't give people excuses to just break up because things didn't work out for them. Then the question they will ask you is, before you guys entered, didn't you guys look very before you entered into the marriage? Nobody forced you. The one that said you like this person and both of you entered. That's by the way. What I want to say is there any excuse for violence? Should we justify any reason for violence? No. So that man who went and called, or that woman that the brothers came and beat up the man, I think the man did not lay his hand on that woman again for the fear of the brothers, not because he wouldn't want to beat the woman, but because of the fear of the brothers. That tells you that man must have been someone who abused women even before he got married. Like it's only one of you told that is her friend, or that the man usually slap, that they didn't know that the man usually slapped the girl was looking all night and everything. He tells us that man has that tendency to beat up a woman, and these are signs you must watch out for. A man that will beat you in marriage must have been showing that signs even before he got married to you. A man that will raise his hand to slap you when you guys are not yet married, it tells you that that man is already a red flag for you, not to that kind of marriage.
Okay, let's just put it as a man that will shout at you. Because some people would never beat you till you marry. Some marriages last for the first 20 years, there was no such incident. Some for the first 10 years. And then suddenly, something starts to provoke one party to react. I remember one story we read on the papers where this girl in Ikorodu, the neighbors constantly hear the beating. But the first time she reacted, there was a dead body that killed him.
She was a teacher. I can never forget that story.
The tears on her eyes when the police came, she didn't run, she stayed there and then
she said that they were beating me.
The neighbors were complaining that every day. But see what happened. The first time she did something, I don't know whatever she picked, I can't remember, was it a bottle or something? And he was dead.
She said she was trying to scare him and then he died.
Because he doesn't think that she would dare. If she had been a crazy wife from the get-go, you slapped me, I slapped you back. I'm not saying that. I'm saying
yes, I get
that we must stand up.
Stand up for yourself.
If it happens, walk out of the house even if it's at night, let your family hear it. Do not cover it. Don't make it a secret. Do whatever it takes to stop it. Go and do something about it. Don't just stay there and tomorrow morning, we love each other. We could this.
We're getting somewhere. I'm liking the point I'm taking
you have to go to
for our conclusion, but we haven't been able to solve how far is too far.
Yeah.
And no, because because I'm of the opinion that yes, she said stand up. You said speak up. Somebody said step out. So we already have 3 options.
Too far is when you are taking a knife, when you are pouring hot water or hot oil on somebody. That's too far.
So something that came. I just remembered. It came to my mind earlier.
You forgot a woman that cut off her husband's member.
Yes, but that
wants to go that far.
So
that's
too far is when you react in anger, or you are premeditating premeditating your revenge. That's too far. That's too far. That person that cut off the member had planned, waited for the man to sleep, took a knife and sliced off the member. That was premeditated. That's too far. So because we also, I know that there are some things that I married into a family that has they are all boys. So I have my senior and senior, and each person have their different ways of dealing with things. So as I was getting married, I was getting married and I was told there are things, Chineye, you cannot try this with Chineye. Like you cannot try it. Right from the beginning of the marriage, she defined our barriers, boundaries within the house. Don't go. You cannot go into this place and do. She created that system. So there were things that I didn't even see as wrong, and they were telling me, this is what they are doing in your house. They cannot try it in this person's house. So I feel like that process of defining boundaries is a preventive measure that you should be taught in pre-marriage counseling. And we were not taught. And I did pre-marriage counseling. I was not taught about putting boundaries in my house, having tough conversations like, this is the way, how far you can go, or how far you can come, or even if you're angry, this is how we're going to deal with.
So this topic, this thing you're right, is a huge topic because it's not only for marriage, it's also for relationships. And for many of us, the way we're raised is that be more accommodating in the beginning.
Nice.
Be nice to people in the beginning. Give people the benefit of the doubt. And anyone who comes across different, who is quickly setting boundaries, we see the person as rude. The person doesn't have home training.
Yes.
But now, as we're adults, those of us, I admire those who had set boundaries from the beginning. And so after you have gone through the awkwardness of understanding their boundaries, then you get to know these people and love them for who they are.
Honestly.
So meanwhile, they've taken you as a nice person who understands, and then you're not setting boundaries in the middle of the relationship.
So you're pretentious.
You are a pretending person.
Well, 2 of my aunties gave me an advice, because they don't talk relationship in my own family, they talk marriage. So 2 of them gave me advice, and one was clear. She said, Nima, you need to put your foot down. It was about Olopo and Yawole duties. She said, Nima, when you approach your in-laws, come with your cooks. Don't let anybody send you on errand. I regret not taking that advice. It was against me for 8 years. I will walk, I will almost die. But the one that advised me that, Nima, any conversation that you're afraid because your voice is going up to have is a time bomb waiting to happen. Because if that thing bothers you, that conversation must happen. Your husband must have it. If you don't have it, you then start to bottle up, you steam up, and I thank God that advice I took. Because when my husband flares up, I'll be like, okay, I said, this conversation has to happen because this thing bothers me. I'll be like, and then when we finally do have the conversation, I iron things like, okay, I understand your side. So I deployed that method for that advice I took. The one for the local work I did not take. Now that I'm enjoying the relief of it, I'm always regretting. Because my auntie, you had in the beginning, my auntie started by carrying they did only the traditional rites, the introduction, and then it was Eid, the big Eid. And the family would kill cow there from the island, they would do all of that. My auntie was coming to her in-laws house for the first time with 2 cooks. And she sat pretty. And all the other wives were looking like, who is this one? The last wife of the family with her heads up, her shoulder high. But the mother-in-law called her and said, you're a smart girl. I love you for that. And that tradition continues. All the wives now come with their...
I also know husbands that set
your boundaries.
In that case where, the wife in the family and they want to send, like, please don't send my wife on this sort of errand. Do not do
They do those demeaning errands.
Yes, and they step up.
I went through all that.
Step up.
So, honestly, there's another part of response that, the story stemmed from brothers beating up their sister's husband. And I don't think that the way they beat up the man would have led to his death.
No.
The beating was to embarrass him. I'm not excusing victim, but don't look at me like that. Let me clarify. I'm saying that
because the one that led to the death, they will not.
They didn't plan it too. Okay. So obviously, in conclusion, no beating. Let's just. But in the same vein, we need to appeal to our police.
Yeah, let me even say something. Sometimes when I'm thinking of life issues, I also, apart from thinking about it as a wife or the person in it, I also think about it as a mother. Would I want tomorrow for a wife to come and tell me that Foge beats my daughter-in-law, to tell me that my own Foge that I've raised beats her? Would I even want to hear that she had now gotten her brother to come and beat my son in the house for that terrible, embarrassing behavior? So that's the way I also look at it. I don't want that for him as well.
You don't want the circle.
Yeah, I know. It's not even about me protecting myself, also protecting the next generation of people who are going to be getting married. I don't want a girl to come into my family, and that's how they are solving issues in that family.
Yeah, that's what we. Let's take a few social media comments.
So someone said, "Are you married? Ready or rather, are you ready for marriage?" Omo Ekopataki says, "Touch not my sisters and do my daughters no harm. I will collect." Ogumola Emmanuel says, "There's no excuse for violence, but some partners can provoke you to an extent of action." Some people say walk away when you're provoked, but please, what do you do when a woman lock both shirts and your door? Or what do you do when a woman slaps you as a man? B. John says, okay, that's a political one. Let me take this one. Shegun says, "I want to support Nima's view. I once had an uncle, after beating his wife, he would still go to his mother-in-law and beat her, saying she didn't raise her daughter well. And the wife's siblings gave him a visit, the beating of his life, and after then, he never tried it again." I think he didn't fear people in the house first.
Bill K says, "Does Jane truly believe you see everything in totality prior to marriage? That's not feasible.
Yeah.
In fact, people can pretend and people change too.
Yes.
You can't tell it all from the get-go. Some bad traits are well hidden, non-existent when you start courting." And that's the truth. Many times there are many of us that when we finished secondary school, they went off and they got married. I know that a lot of life
have not had pressure.
Yes.
And usually pressure reveals
sociopaths. Those who are so perfect outside, they will be good. Your parents will tell you, "This is the man for you, this is the man." And
when you enter into
it. Andrew says, "Nima, you be lawyer. You cannot break the law of the land as no matter how angry you dey."
So Hafsat says the divorce is never the first option. In any conflict, you should work on the marriage. It should be the very last thing when nothing seems to be working.
If you're in a violent situation, take a step out and walk from it from a distance, so that when they throw the hand, it will not reach your face.
So there are a few things. We're almost out of time. In conclusion, we've said a whole lot today, and I just took a few notes that I want to remind all our viewers on. We spoke about the fact that you must speak up. Speak up. If you are in a violent situation, male or female, don't isolate yourself. Reach out to family members and friends and see how you can get help in resolving that situation. Second, stand up. Stand up for yourself early enough. The first slap is enough. Don't wait until it turns to blow and you turn to punching bag. Stand up for yourself and in a non-violent manner express boundaries that this is not allowed in this space. Step out. If you find yourself with someone who cannot listen to any form of reason before it becomes obituary, step out of such situation. And I think it was man that said there's no excuse for violence. Being very observant even before we get married, setting boundaries right from the get-go of that marriage. Avoid premeditated violence. If you are beginning to plan and stew on how you will revenge against your husband or your wife, please step out of that relationship. And on that note, we've come to the end of a very interesting show, if I do say so myself. Thank you, ladies, for a very intellectual conversation, and I'm sure a lot of people have learnt. That's all we can take today. See you all tomorrow. Bye.